Chainsaw Devil and Denji. This was one contract that all the devils should have worked together to make a success. Denji first found Pochita after his father's death. It was injured and in an extremely weak condition and would have probably died. Denji gave Pochita his blood, stating that it was a contract and that he would have to save Pochita if he was saved by him in return. However, it's not clear whether this was a contract. Maybe it was a contract because Pochita ended up drinking Denji's blood. Later, when Denji was betrayed by Yakuza and attacked by the zombie devil, Denji was cut up into pieces and put into a dumpster. This was when Pochita saved him by becoming his heart. He also gave Denji a simple contract, but just to show Pochita his dreams in exchange for Pochita becoming his heart. Pochita was probably the only devil in the entire series that actually cared about its contractor as well. I mean, the only reason that Pochita took over his body and went on a rampage was because the contract was in danger of being broken. This was the beginning of Chainsaw Man's legend, and the most important contract in the story. And it all happened because Denji saved Pochita out of the goodness of his heart. There is a possibility that if all the devils had cooperated and just given Denji a normal life, the Black Chainsaw Man they all feared would have never come out at all. Mold Devil and Kato and Tanabe. This power doesn't seem like much, but moments later you're dead. At some point, Kato and Tanabe made a deal with the Mold Devil. By biting their hand to draw blood and pointing at a target, they could make mold grow inside a person's organs, causing internal bleeding from the inside out. The catch was that it only worked on living beings. If the infected part was cut off, the mold would stop spreading, but by then the damage was usually already done. We saw this in action in chapter 46, when they attacked Reze and caused her to bleed. However, Reze just pulled her pin and blew them up. This caused their contracts to end, when they were both killed by her. The Fox Devil and various devil hunters. This devil has probably been reading too much yaoi. The Fox Devil was one of the few devils that was rather friendly with humans. It also had contracts with many public service devil hunters, including Aki Hayakawa. Aki could summon the Fox Devil to attack a target by feeding it a part of his body. Aki was able to summon its head, while Nakamura and Nomo could summon only its arm. It was unknown which part of the body Hirokazu was able to summon. While the exact cost of the contract wasn't mentioned for each of the hunters, it's possible that all the hunters paid the same price. The contractor would have to give some body parts to the Fox Devil in exchange for summoning it. They could use its power by raising their hand and saying the word Kon. Depending on the contract, a different body part would appear for each contractor. The crazy thing is the Fox Devil seemed to be a little bit superficial. It only let the good-looking contractor summon its head, while the rest had to settle for the limbs. Zombie Devil and various members of the Yakuza. This one contract probably created more destruction than the Gun Devil. Multiple members of the Yakuza made contracts with the Zombie Devil. The price of the contract was unknown, but its condition was the death of all devil hunters, which should have been a massive red flag. I mean, the price was too damn high. For some reason, the Yakuza didn't think it through and went ahead with the contract anyway. But here's the irony. They couldn't even kill a single 16-year-old amateur devil hunter, even after they tricked him and stabbed him in the back. The contract that the Zombie Devil made was the reason it actually ended up dying. All it had to do was leave Denji alone, but it didn't and paid the price. The contract ended with the death of the Zombie Devil, but there was one side effect that the Zombie Devil forgot to mention to its contractors. All those who entered into a contract with the Zombie Devil were turned into zombies. Now, if you really think about it, if the Zombie Devil didn't make the deal, and the Yakuza didn't try to use Denji as devil food, he wouldn't have become Chainsaw Man at all. The Ghost Devil and Himeno. The Ghost Devil was so smart, it made you take the most unfair deal. The only contract that the Ghost Devil had was actually with Himeno. In exchange for her right eye, Himeno could use the power of the Ghost Devil's right arm, which stayed with her at all times. It could also communicate with Himeno by forming a mouth on the right arm, which might seem like a good deal at first, but the Ghost Devil had a ton of arms. I mean, she gave up an entire eye for just one arm. Still, that one arm still does have perks. She was able to restrain Aki, preventing him from using the Cursed Devil's sword against the Eternity Devil. Much later in chapter 35, we saw the Ghost Devil lift Aki up by his throat with just one hand. It also had the power of invisibility, and we saw this when Himeno grabbed the Eternity Devil without anyone seeing it. Also, since it was a ghost, it could phase through things. This prevented it from being touched by others, but it still could be attacked with special weapons and by other devils. Compared to what the fox gave for just a fingertip and a pretty face, it's a bit one-sided. Later, Himeno sacrificed her entire body to use the full power of the Ghost Devil for a short while fighting against Akane Sawatari, and Himeno believed it was worth it to take down Akane. But Akane captured the Ghost Devil by having the Snake Devil swallow it, forcing it to serve her instead. It was a losing deal for Himeno from the start, but with what was at stake at that time, Himeno would still take the deal even if she knew she was gonna lose. Gun Devil and the National Pistol Association of America. This one contract had more politics and philosophy involved than all of Chainsaw Man. We saw this contract in action after Denji finally lost it, and Pochita took complete control of his body, turning him into Black Chainsaw Man. He was stuck in a fight with the War Devil, ripped off Yoru's hands, and almost killed her, but Yoru turned the tables and called for the Gun Devil and Tank Devil, which were being contained by different countries. Both of them transformed into gauntlets, becoming new hands for Yoru. Then she activated the contract with the National Pistol Association of America. Basically, around 400,000 members of the association lost their index fingers in exchange for the Statue of Liberty turning into an insanely ugly creature that held a rifle. Wherever Yoru aimed, the statue fired that giant rifle with finger-shaped bullets. The finger was the size of an intercontinental missile, and it kind of was because it hit Denji all the way in Japan, destroying his body. Yoru almost finished him off right there, but Asa and the Aging Devil spoiled her grand plan to completely own Denji. To be honest, this contract came out of nowhere. No one expected such power from the War Devil, especially when she was just getting her ass handed by Denji left and right. Another reason is that this contract was never hers to begin with. It was actually the Gun Devil who made it, but Yoru owned it because she owned the Gun Devil and turned him into her weapon. The way it was revealed made fans speculate that maybe this was the author's way of saying that uncontrolled gun use in a country fuels war, and that the freedom to use those weapons would destroy them in the end. Cursed Devil and Santa Claus. This was a contract that almost killed the Chainsaw Man and every other devil in hell. At some point in the manga, Santa Claus made a deal with the Cursed Devil. In exchange for the loss of sensation in several of her fingers, she could curse her targets by stabbing them with a nail 4 times. The stabbing could also be done by other people, and not necessarily the contractor. This was seen when Toka stabbed Denji instead of Santa Claus, and the curse was still activated. The Cursed Devil's attack worked exactly like it did for Aki Hayakawa. After the target was stabbed 4 times, the Cursed Devil would manifest and pick up the target by the arms in a cross position. Then it would cause severe injuries by biting into their shoulder and necks while crushing their arms. After Toka stabbed Denji with the nail in chapter 62, this exact thing happened to him. He rose into the air in a cross position, and he was then attacked by the Cursed Devil. This left him in a weakened state, and he wasn't able to do much when they were sent to hell by one of Santa Claus's dolls. If Makima hadn't intervened and pulled him out, the mythic Chainsaw Man, the primal version feared by every devil, might have appeared much earlier. Gun Devil and the President of the United States. This was the exact kind of deal I expected a politician to make. Until this moment, we were only shown glimpses of Makima's power, but this particular moment makes it clear. Makima wasn't ordinary, she was something completely different. Moments before this, Makima took control of the Angel Devil as well as Aki. When she was done, she stood on the beach and she uttered some rather cryptic words. She said that things would take the course that would cause the greatest damage. Immediately after this, the President of the United States was shown speaking on the phone, planning to kill Makima. His reasoning was that the worst possible peace would descend on humanity if he didn't do it. Weirdly enough, he asked his citizens to forgive his foolish decision, which kind of makes you wonder, why did he even do it? Then came the contract. He promised the Gun Devil 1 year of the lifespans of the American people. In exchange, he wanted the death of Makima, the Control Devil. The Gun Devil appeared and attacked, causing deaths as it made its way towards Makima. Though we weren't shown what happened next, it was easy to connect the dots. Makima defeated the Gun Devil so badly that it was left with the need to take over a body to survive, and Aki's freshly dead corpse just happened to be nearby. The annoying part was not that this assassination attempt failed, it was the fact that the president knew he was going to fail and yet went ahead with the attempt anyway, which is exactly what any corrupt politician would have done. Control Devil and the Prime Minister of Japan. Here we have another case of a dirty politician making a deal he had no business making. This contract was revealed when the anti-Makima squad attacked the headquarters of public safety. Just before this, Makima was busy putting the finishing touches on her masterpiece, breaking Denji's heart. She had revealed her entire plan to him and asked if he had a right to wish for a normal life. Denji said no, and this was the moment he completely became her dog. After this, they went to the office where they were attacked. The anti-Makima squad called the Hell Devil to kill Makima, and she called out to Chainsaw Man to save her. While the Hell Devil and Chainsaw Man were fighting, Makima revealed the secret behind her immortality to Kishibe. Any attack made on her would be transferred as an illness or accident among the Japanese citizens. In other words, killing her would basically be killing an innocent citizen. And for what reason did the Prime Minister make this stupid deal? Nobody knows. The Snake Devil and Akane Sawatari. Compared to the other contracts, this one doesn't seem like much at first. Akane Sawatari was the only person who had a contract with the Snake Devil, and it was a terrifyingly powerful one. By using a mix of voice commands and hand gestures, she could fully summon the Snake Devil and control its movements. The catch was that every time she used its power, the Snake Devil took one of her fingernails as payment. What made this contract especially dangerous was the Snake Devil's ability to devour other devils and later spit them back out to fight on its behalf. It didn't just store them, it could even heal them in the process. This was seen when Akane ordered Spit It Out and the Ghost Devil reappeared, completely restored and ready to fight for her. But that kind of power had its limits. Using the Snake Devil's release ability came with an even heavier cost. When Akane summoned the Ghost Devil against Aki, she not only lost another fingernail, but also started bleeding from her nose. Now, a fingernail and nosebleed might not look like much, until you realize the first one is a torture technique, and the second one is literal brain damage. Skin Devil and Joey, Aldo, and their unnamed brother. This is one of the strongest abilities with the weakest user. These three had a contract with the Skin Devil, and it gave them one seriously creepy ability. By touching a corpse, they could take on its appearance completely, disguising themselves as a dead person. It was a perfect, powerful infiltration, and a nightmare for anyone who crossed their path. The unnamed brother used it to change his face into that of a devil hunter. He used it to infiltrate the devil hunter team that was with Denji. However, he was killed shortly after this, when Power lost control of the car she was driving. Now imagine what he could have done with such a perfect disguise. All he had to do was disguise himself as a hot girl and he would have had a shot at taking Denji down, but instead he died because of a car accident. Claw, Knife, and Needle Devils. We were never shown how Kishibe used these powers, and I wonder why. In fact, this was actually mentioned by one of Lady Quangshi's fiends. Moments after she mentioned Kishibe's contracted devils, she told the other fiends to attack him. She was rather overconfident about this because she saw that he had nothing in his body he could use to pay contracts with. But in the very next scene, Kishibe is shown with two of the devils already under his control. He used the captured fiends to call a ceasefire and get Lady Quangshi to listen to his plan of killing Makima. So why didn't we actually see him actually use their powers? Maybe the fiend was right. Maybe Kishibe wasn't shown using these powers because he had nothing else left to pay the contracts with. Octopus Devil and Hirofumi Yoshida. With this devil, they had the chance to make one of the funniest jokes. The only known person to have a contract with the Octopus Devil was Hirofumi Yoshida. The price he paid for that power was never revealed. Through this contract, Yoshida could summon parts of the Octopus Devil wherever he was, and command it freely. He could call it out either by saying octopus, or by making a special hand sign. Depending on how much power he needed, he could offer up different body parts as payment, even commanding the devil to bite or swallow his enemies whole, much like the fox or snake devils. In chapter 189, for instance, Yoshida offered Mifune's heart to summon the Octopus Devil's head. Beyond combat, the Octopus Devil had utility too. Yoshida often used it to scout areas for threats. Its strength was immense. It could lift both Yoshida and Denji with ease, crush Santa Claus's dolls, and even slice off the Eternity Devil's hand. And if that wasn't enough, it could release a thick cloud of ink to blind or confuse enemies, making Yoshida one of the most versatile and unpredictable fighters in Chainsaw Man. What I found extremely disappointing about the Octopus Devil was the fact that it didn't make a single reference to, the tentacle stuff. Hell Devil and Old Man Doll / Santa Claus. With this contract, Santa Claus proved that everything happened according to her keikaku. But even then, she didn't know that she almost killed every devil in hell. Moments before this contract, Toka managed to stab Denji with a nail. This activated the Curse Devil, which attacked Denji and left him unconscious. As a reward for succeeding, the Santa Claus turned Toka into a high-quality doll and started the second phase of her plan. An old man doll, under the control of Santa Claus, walked into the same department store where all the devil hunters, including Denji, were. He offered his heart and the lives of 3 of his beloved children to the Hell Devil. In exchange, he asked it to transfer all living things in that department store to hell. Darkness Devil and Doll Devil Santa Claus. This was a deal with the devil, literally. You get what you want, but not what you need. After Denji was attacked by the Cursed Devil, Santa Claus activated the final phase of her plan. She sent one of her perfect dolls, the Old Man, and made a contract with the Hell Devil to transport everyone in the mall to hell. This included Denji, Quangshi and her fiends, Aki, and some public safety devil hunters. After that, the Darkness Devil appeared in front of them and removed everyone's arms, leaving them unable to fight. This was when Toka, who had been turned into a doll, spoke to the Darkness Devil on Santa's behalf. He declared that he had brought Chainsaw Man's heart as per the contract. In return, he asked for the power to kill Makima. The Darkness Devil accepted the contract and gave Santa Claus a small piece of its flesh, which increased her power by a huge amount. And even with all that power, she still ended up dead. Control Devil and Aki. This is an accurate take on a modern relationship. Now, we don't see this entire thing play out in the manga. What we do know is that Makima called Aki and the Angel Devil to the beach. When they met Makima, Aki mentioned that his time was near and that he would make a contract with any devil and asked her to help him. That was the moment Makima was waiting for. She told him that if he gave her all of him, she would give him strength. When Aki hesitated, she didn't persuade him. She ordered him to say the words. And when he did, the Angel Devil broke free from Makima's power and remembered his past. However, moments later, he too gave Makima all of himself. This was when the Gun Devil attacked Makima. She fought back and injured the Gun Devil to such a point that it needed a body to survive, and Aki's dead body was right there. The next time we saw Aki, he had already become the Gun Fiend, and he was on a mission to kill Denji in power. And that was the sad truth. Aki ended up trusting and loving a person who only saw him as a tool to break Denji, kind of like how my ex saw me. Blood Devil and Denji. The most wholesome contract in Chainsaw Man. After the failed attempt to kill Makima, instead of saving her, Chainsaw Man attacked Makima and then went on autopilot, trying to fulfill different wishes that Denji had. Then he was attacked by Makima and her gang. After Makima's plan to weaken him further by making him a hero, Chainsaw Man was in a weakened state. This was when Pochita reached out to Power, who was alive because of the blood that Denji had drunk before. Pochita told Power that she could eat him and revive as a devil. He then asked her to save Denji for him, and she agreed. She attacked Makima and her associates, but when she was overpowered, she pretended to be on Makima's side and that she had captured Chainsaw Man. After that, she ran away with Chainsaw Man and hid in a dumpster. She then made a contract with Denji. In exchange for her blood, he had to find her and become her friend again. Mantis Devil and Unnamed Devil Hunters. This devil appeared twice and then was never seen again. We first saw the Mantis Devil's power in action in chapter 91. Power had just eaten Pochita's heart and become a lot more powerful. Then Makima appeared and asked Power to hand over Chainsaw Man. Instead of doing what she was told, she ran away and she was surprised by her own decision. This was when she was attacked by a massive mantis arm that was summoned by an unknown devil hunter. Not much is known about the hunters who had contracted with this devil, or even the price that was paid for the contract. The devil was seen again in chapter 109, when the fire devil took over Yuko and attacked members of Denji's school. A mantis-like appendage appeared again, but whether it was the same contractor from before or someone new, we still don't know. There is a chance that, like Fox Devil, Mantis Devil is also open to giving contracts to humans, and is one of the more used devils by the Devil Hunter team. Hell Devil and the Anti-Makima Squad. Honestly, this might be the only attempt that actually deserves a participation trophy. The Anti-Makima Squad were a group of people put together by Kishibe with a single purpose: to kill Makima. And they really did give it everything they had. 6 unnamed people gave their lives to summon the Hell Devil. Contract was to kill Makima and drag her into hell. Unfortunately, they didn't know about the contract that she had with the Prime Minister of Japan, which essentially gave her immortality. Then there was Makima's biggest trump card, Chainsaw Man, the one that even devils fear. But to be fair, these guys came the closest to killing Makima, and you have to give them props for that. Future Devil, Aki Hayakawa, and 2 other devil hunters in public safety. This was probably the most sadistic devil. After Aki lost the ability to summon the Fox Devil, he approached the Future Devil to form a contract. At the same time, there were 2 other public safety devil hunters with him. One of them gave up half his lifespan in exchange for the Future Devil's power, while the other had to give up their eyes, sense of taste, and smell in order to use its abilities. However, for the first time, Aki had some good luck. In exchange for letting the Future Devil live in his right eye, he could see 4 to 5 seconds into the future. It sounded like a good deal, until Aki realized that even if he could see what was coming, he couldn't always stop it. So, essentially the Future Devil, which was trapped in isolation, hijacked his eye, got a view of some badass fight scenes, a cruel and heartbreaking death, all while giving up a half-baked ability. Future Devil and 30 convicts. This was less of a contract and more of a hint. When the Future Devil was under the complete custody of the Public Safety Bureau, it made some contracts with some inmates. The Bureau itself arranged for these contracts. All 30 of these inmates only got one thing: the exact date of their death. We don't know what the actual price for that was. It was never revealed. But here's where it gets strange. 23 out of 30 inmates would die in July 1999. That detail lined up perfectly with one of Nostradamus' prophecies. The one that said, in the 7th month of 1999, a great king of terror will descend. It wasn't just a coincidence, it was a confirmation that something catastrophic was coming, a hint at the end of humanity itself. Fire Devil and the class president. The president of Asa's class in the high school played one of the most important roles in the series. When the teacher brought Bucky, the chicken devil, to the class, Asa didn't like it and stayed away from the activity. The class president tried to include her and make her feel like she was part of the group. And after Asa accidentally killed Bucky, she even had her back, only to later show that she was the one who tripped Asa and made her kill Bucky. And that wasn't all. It turned out the class president was actually sleeping with their teacher, and the only reason she befriended Asa was because the teacher had started paying more attention to her. That jealousy pushed her over the edge. She even tried to kill Asa, which was the sole reason why she made a contract with the Fire Devil, who pretended to be the Justice Devil. The contract showed the class president's true face and gave her real self to have an apt form, with a giant body full of tentacles and tendrils. With a single strike, she ripped through Asa's face. The War Devil took the chance and took over Asa's body, ripped the teacher's spine and killed the class president. And just like that, the class president became irrelevant to the story. Fire Devil and Yuko. Probably the only devil that made all the dreams come true without asking anything in return. Even Pochita can't beat it in that aspect. Yuko was one of the high school students that was part of the Devil Hunter Club. She became friends with Asa. She appeared kind-hearted, friendly, and just overall a nice person. But after a while, her deepest, darkest secrets were revealed. Yuko considered herself an extremely good person, and she wanted to be a devil hunter. But before she got a chance to be one, she made an illegal contract with the Fire Devil, believing it was actually the Justice Devil. She got a weird devilish transformation with those powers, and could use her tendrils to attack her enemies. She used those powers to kill the people who she thought were extremely bad. She even looked for validation and acceptance from Asa. Later, after the fight with Yoru and Chainsaw Man, she ended up with a weird hybrid form that combined her human and devilish forms. Fire Devil and fake Chainsaw Man. The contract was so insane it made me wonder if Fire Devil was the final villain. Within the Chainsaw Man church, the Fire Devil disguised itself as the Justice Devil and pulled strings through an unnamed elder. Together they collected a large number of cult followers and gave them contracts. The key to that plan was the fake Chainsaw Man, who was this figurehead they put out as a substitute for Denji in the church. With the contract the fake Chainsaw Man made with the Fire Devil, he was able to activate the Chainsaw Man powers, with the chainsaws coming out of his head, hands, all the bells and whistles. Of course, he wasn't really as powerful as Denji. He didn't even retain his humanity when he transformed into that form. The most scary part of this contract was that, technically, the Fire Devil shouldn't have had the power to give away the Chainsaw Man's powers. But it did. All because it could just manifest the inner flame of its victims, like passion and faith. Fire Devil and an unnamed Chainsaw Man church elder. What's better than selling your soul to a devil to gain power? Creating a church and doing what this elder did. In chapter 144, during the Chainsaw Man church attack, a strange old man appeared, one of the church's elders. He started ranting about how the devil hunters had sold their souls to devils. Then, with zero self-awareness, he claimed he was different because he would become a devil himself. After shouting some of the cringiest lines in the series, things like "fight evil with evil" and "devils with devils," and "I am justice incarnate," he immediately got taken out by Katana Man. Fire Devil and the church followers. What if the worst qualities a person could have were passion, justice, and faith? The Fire Devil was working behind the scenes of the Chainsaw Man church, pretending to be the Justice Devil. He made contracts with almost 350k members. There was no particular price for the contract. As long as a person was willing and burning with their inner flame, they would become powerful. And the Fire Devil actually met every one of those conditions without missing a thing. The only problem is how it did miss one. For most Chainsaw Man church followers, the inner flame, or rather their passion and justice, were obviously Chainsaw Man himself. That's why when the time came, they all turned into twisted copies of him. They did become powerful, just like they were promised, but they lost most of their humanity. They were of course targeted by the rest of the public and were eliminated. Now imagine the only reason you were manipulated, deceived, used, hated, and killed was because you were passionate about the one person who saved you. Aging Devil and Fumiko Mifune and unnamed devil hunters. This showed how far blind obedience to orders could destroy you. With Denji and Asa trapped in the aging devil's world, Pochita went on a rampage in the real world. The goal of public safety and the Japanese government was to make Chainsaw Man eat the aging devils so the concept of aging itself could be erased. While Pochita was rampaging around, the aging devil offered them a contract. In exchange for control over their bodies, it would save the agents from death at Chainsaw Man's hands. The agents agreed, and one by one the aging devils sacrificed different body parts of the agents like their nails, liver, and eyes to cause damage to Pochita. Then Fumiko gave Yoshida her heart, which allowed him to summon the octopus devil in the real world and bring the aging devil to its world. After that, they made a contract not to fight each other, in exchange for leaving that world. Aging Devil and its victim. His only mistake was speaking his desire out loud. During a battle between the Chainsaw Man and the Aging Devil, when Chainsaw Man was almost defeated, Yoru attacked the Aging Devil. He made a comment that neither Chainsaw Man nor the War Devil were mature enough to talk to it, and that it was time to have them grow up. Then the Aging Devil trapped them in its world. That was where they met the victim. He explained that he used to be a devil hunter, and a good one too. But one day while passing a mirror, he noticed his laugh lines had deepened. He didn't want to age. In a passing thought, he said that if an aging devil existed, he'd make a contract with it. The moment those words left his mouth, he found himself in the Aging Devil's world. Aging Devil and Hirofumi Yoshida, Denji, and Asa Mitaka. This contract revealed that the strongest ability of the Aging Devil was also its biggest weakness. In the Aging Devil arc, Hirofumi, Denji, and Asa along with Yoru were trapped inside the Aging Devil's world. Meanwhile, Pochita kept fighting with the Aging Devil on the outside. Pochita tried to defeat the Aging Devil, but couldn't because of the Aging Devil's immortality. Meanwhile, the three who were trapped inside couldn't use their powers. However, they figured out a loophole. They could access the outside world through Denji's mouth. Hirofumi tried to use the Octopus Devil's powers to latch onto a pillar and escape. Yoru tried to force herself out, but they both failed. Then Fumiko gave up her heart to the Octopus Devil and let it drag the Aging Devil into its own domain. Surprisingly, even the Aging Devil couldn't use its powers in its own world. The three proposed a truce contract. Basically, they wouldn't fight each other in exchange for escaping the Aging Devil's domain. The Aging Devil had to accept, because while the others could leave through Denji's mouth, it would be trapped along with him in that world. So the almost foolproof strategy of the Aging Devil also became its weakness. STD Devil and Fumiko Mifune. This one contract actually showed how unity can be achieved among humanity, but it's just not as beautiful as you think. We first saw Fumiko as a public safety officer who was disguised as a high school student. Her job was to get close to Denji and keep an eye on him. She was one of the women that Denji simped over because of how down bad he was. Not that she did anything to discourage him. In fact, she touched him down there the first time they met. In chapter 212, we finally get some context into what kind of person Fumiko was, as well as some info on her abilities. At age 14, she made a contract with the STD devil, and then used intercourse as a means to spread herself across the world. Basically, everyone she had been intimate with would carry a part of her consciousness and turn into her. So even if Fumiko, died, another copy could just replace her. This was the way she made herself immortal. If you think about it, it actually makes sense. When people fall into the same circumstances with the exact same problems, they often form a collective mind. They erase their own individuality. Just like Fumiko, one of the possible reasons for her to be so detached and twisted was because she spread herself too much along with her emotions and feelings. War Devil and Governor of California. Arguably the fairest contract in all of Chainsaw Man. With the fight between Yoru and Chainsaw Man going on, Denji killed Yoru multiple times. He even cut her head off more than once. But no matter what he did, Yoru came back to life like she was immortal. And maybe just to piss off Denji even more, she revealed how she got that temporary immortality. She had actually made a contract with the Governor of California. In exchange for the War Devil not attacking the state of California, whenever Yoru was killed, the damage would be redirected to a random resident of California. So Yoru basically had 32 million lives. The governor made this deal to keep California safe from the War Devil by making its citizens pay the price. As long as they kept dying one at a time randomly, the state would remain safe. It was sadistic, manipulative, and absolutely disgusting of Yoru to do that, but still a fair exchange. Aging Devil and the Government of Japan. When the government of Japan and public safety discovered that the devils eaten by Chainsaw Man caused the erasure of whatever the devil represented, they were excited. They confirmed their findings when ears disappeared from the world after the ear devil was eaten. Then together they decided to remove aging from the world and approached the aging devil. In exchange for being eaten by Chainsaw Man without resisting, the aging devil demanded that the government killed 10,000 children with Japanese citizenship between infancy and 9 years old in front of mirrors. The most shocking part was how quickly they agreed to it. One of the ministers briefly opposed it, but when he was reminded that he had 4 children, he immediately agreed to the plan. Doll Devil and Santa Claus. In a way, this contract was a perfect match. The only known contract with the Doll Devil was one made by Santa Claus. Thanks to this deal, she gained the terrifying ability to turn people into dolls that followed her every command. All it took was a single touch, and the effect spread like a virus. Each new doll could infect others just by touching them. These dolls could even morph one of their arms into sharp blades, making them deadly weapons in their own right. But Santa's control had limits. She needed to stay within the area to command her dolls. And once someone was turned, there was no going back. They could never become human again. The conversion didn't work on devils, hybrids, or fiends. In a weird way, Santa Claus's powers match her name. I mean, Santa had the power to create dolls. It just so happened that the dolls were made from humans. Stone Devil and Kusakabe. The Stone Devil was basically a discount Medusa. The only known contract was with Kusakabe, and the price we don't know. When he stood inside a special circle and blew through a hole formed by his hand, he could instantly petrify anyone standing in front of him. The Stone Devil embodied the fear of stones, and its power was just as terrifying. Through its contract, it could turn people into stone in an instant, but it had a reputation for being unpredictable, making it risky to use anywhere near allies. We saw it in action when the public safety hunters and Denji were attacked by Santa Claus's dolls. Kusakabe stood in a circle and turned a few dolls into stone. However, there was a weakness to this power. Kusakabe could only turn things into stone if he stood in a specially drawn circle. Later, when they were all transported to Hell, Kusakabe and the Stone Devil tried to attack the Darkness Devil, and they were both destroyed easily. Ironically, they were both turned to stone and shattered by the Darkness Devil. Gun Devil and Akane Sawatari. At first it seemed like a regular contract, but there was a hidden clause. Apart from her contract with the Snake Devil, Akane made a contract with the Gun Devil and distributed guns to the Yakuza. While the price was not known, she demanded the Chainsaw Devil's heart as payment. This was actually found out by Makima after Akane had been captured by the Devil Hunters. During the questioning, just before they were able to find out why Akane wanted the Chainsaw Devil's heart, she was killed. Makima said that it might have been an involuntary suicide, as per her contract with the Gun Devil. Curse Devil and Aki Hayakawa. One deal in Chainsaw Man with the most twisted payoff. The exact moment that Aki Hayakawa made a deal with the cursed devil wasn't shown in the mug. What we do know is that he traded away part of his lifespan as part of the contract. In return, he could summon its deadly power using a nail-shaped sword. Every time he stabbed someone with it and set fire, a massive spectral hand would appear, flicking the nail like a divine execution. But the real punishment came later. After 3 strikes, the cursed devil would manifest itself, picking up the target by their arms in a cross-like position and cause severe injuries by biting into their shoulders and necks while crushing their arms. Since the payoff was the lifespan, you might think it would drain him and make him look old, like in most stories, but thinking about it now, maybe it didn't take away years, maybe it just increased his chances of dying with each use. Because when Denji killed Aki, technically Aki's lifespan did end, and whatever life he had ahead was reduced and lost. Punishment Devil and Yutaro Michiko. The only thing we know about this devil is its name. Yutaro and Michiko made a contract with the Punishment Devil for an unknown price. Almost nothing is known about this devil or its powers, since we never saw it in action. However, even after their death in Chapter 55, Makima was still able to use their contract with the Punishment Devil. We saw this in Chapter 76, when she was battling the Gun Devil. Its appearance was horrifying, a fusion of countless humanoid bodies with distorted faces like multiple devils stitched into a monstrous form. And that's all we really know. Its powers, purpose, even its existence are still wrapped in mystery. Hell Devil and Toka. This was made to show how powerful Makima is. When Denji and the rest of the public safety devil hunters were trapped in hell and attacked by the Darkness Devil, Makima used Princey to appear there. They fought for a short while, and the Darkness Devil completely destroyed her right arm. Just before he could attack her with a sword, Makima used her control powers to take control of Toka and forced him to make a contract with the Hell Devil. In exchange for all of himself, he asked the Hell Devil to send them back to Earth. The Hell Devil accepted the contract and sent them back. So Makima had a bunch of devils, including some primal devils, plot together to trap her in hell, and all she had to do was make one move, and it all went to shit. Here are all the forms of Chainsaw Man.